Hello, everybody. Hello. Today is the day. Today is the day Spider Man, brand new day, finally comes out. And I am so excited. So excited. Going to watch it immediately after work today. So I will be back this afternoon, or just here in a few minutes after I get off work. And I will be headed to the theater to sit down and watch Spider Man on premiere night. So, hope you guys are ready, and I'll catch you guys later.
Just came to my senses. I step in another dimension. Fear is non-existent. Suit up and swing through the city. Nightland, I'm wide awake. Leave me afraid. In my own world, give me space. In my own universe, give me space. Just got off work, everyone. I am headed to the theater right now as we speak. I just got my tickets. Yeah, I know it's a little late, but I just got my tickets. I am in the front row, but it is a small auditorium, so it'll be fine. And then, yeah, depending on how I feel about the movie, what I think about the movie after watching it, then I'll probably go ahead and book my tickets to go watch it again next Monday and watch it in Screen X at the theater in Joplin. So that's the plan. May or may not be back next week to review or talk about my experience in Screen X. But for now, I'm stuck with watching it in one of the smallest auditoriums. Yeah, I am headed to watch Spider-Man. Spider-Man, danger, Spider-Man, danger, Spider-Man, danger, Spider-Man, danger, Spider-Man, 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 all right, everyone. All right. You know I had to. You knew I had to. I got it. I got it. I got the Spider-Man head. I got Tom Holland's head. I'm going to stick him in the freezer. No, I'm kidding. But as you can tell, it is just a normal popcorn bucket. His head open up. You know, just like Ant-Man's head or Deadpool's head, zombie Headpool's head, or you got Wolverine's mouth that opens up. But yeah, this is just another Marvel head to add to my popcorn collection. Doesn't light up or anything, but there is a little bit of a spoiler for the movie on the back of this thing. I don't know if I should show it off or not. Because I was fidgeting with it, trying to figure out what it was, and then I got to, watching the movie, and eventually it comes up in the movie what exactly the thing is, and I'm like, okay, but I will spoil it for you. Yeah, this is a inhibitor chip, so it kind of controls his arachnid powers. So that's what this is that he puts on the back of his neck, which is on his actual neck under the suit. So this isn't accurate. This doesn't make sense to have it on the outside of the suit, but it's just a popcorn bucket. And honestly, by the end of the movie, he doesn't even need this. He rips it off. So I don't know why they added this. It's a neat little addition to the popcorn bucket. it's a little spoiler for you. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie a lot. This is one of my favorite Spider-Man movies. Might be my favorite Spider-Man movie. Yeah, I love it. I love it. No Way Home is hard to beat, but I think they did it. It doesn't have Toby and Andrew in this film, but it has references, and he was inspired by Toby and Andrew. And you could tell by his suit that like there's pieces of like Tom's suit still with the moving eyes. There's pieces of Andrew's suit. There's pieces of Toby's suit. There's also pieces of the suit from like the Spider-Man PS4 games. Actually, the Spider-Man PS4 game is referenced a lot in this movie with the fighting that he does, the webbing, like the swinging around New York, different tricks and stuff he does while swinging. Like it is it is very inspired by the Spider-Man PS4 games. But yeah, I loved this movie. It was awesome. It was awesome. The audience cried together. We laughed together. We cheered together. It was awesome. The performances in this movie, from the detective who was played by the lady from The Bear, I forget exactly what she does in The Bear, but she's one of the people that works with Carmen in the. Is it Carmen? I think his name's Carmen, the character's name. Works with him in the kitchen, which, you know, John Bernthal is also in. He plays his older brother in The Bear. So it was nice to, yeah, kind of see them. I don't think they ever had scenes together, but it was nice to see them, you know, in another show or movie together. And of course, John Bernthal and Tom Holland have been in several movies together, just recently with The Odyssey as well. So it was great to see them performing together again, and their chemistry in real life definitely bled through in this movie. Like they have such good chemistry as the Punisher and Spider-Man. You wouldn't think so with, you know, Punisher being this R-rated character that like goes and shoots and kills pretty much everyone, and then Spider-Man, who, like, the last movie is literally him stopping Doctor Strange from sending the villains back in time because they were going to die. Like, he is the hero that saves everyone and doesn't allow anyone to die. To pair him up with the Punisher, it was just brilliant. It was brilliant. And then, of course, you had Bruce Banner and the Hulk with a little bit of a role in this. The villain, I'm not going to spoil right now, but I will get into that when I go into spoilers later. Let's see. Who else am I missing? Oh, MJ and Ned. They were great in this movie. Can't forget about them. They were excellent at the beginning, but then they even got better when they were actually with. I don't want to spoil too much, you know, but they do end up meeting Peter Parker again. Actually, he gives him a fake name. He says May at first, you know, gonna use Aunt May's name, but then he says something like Magden or Magden or Madeline or I don't even know what he said. He used a fake name when he first introduced himself to MJ and Ned. And what else? I mentioned Detective DeWolf. Oh, the guy who is in charge of the DODC, or this section of the DODC at least. We've had the DODC in Marvel movies before. Actually, they came in during No Way Home, and they were also in Wonder Man Like they've been in quite a few. I think they were in Shang-Chi as well. I think they've been in all of Destin Daniel Cretton's Marvel movies. He, for some reason, loves loves throwing the DODC in there. Anyway, the guy who's in charge of this section of the DODC, Tremel something, the guy from Severance, he he was fantastic. He played that role so good that yeah, I hated him pretty much the entire movie. But yeah, then Sadie Sink, she was fantastic in this movie. I'm not gonna tell you what character she plays. We'll get into that during the spoiler territory. But I'm sure you can guess by now, or if you've seen the movie, you already know. So yeah, just wait until the spoiler territory to get into that. But yeah, I think that's oh man, I mentioned how inspiring or how much they were inspired by the PlayStation 4 games with the swinging and the actions, like the fighting sequences and everything. Which, you know, some of that includes the hand, which the hand could have been left out of this movie. They didn't really need to be in this movie. But yeah, it was nice having something Daredevil in this film. If we weren't going to get Matt Murdock, at least Spider-Man was fighting his antagonist. What I was getting back to was the backgrounds and just yeah, like the swinging through New York, all the different shots of New York, all the especially like the the different settings of New York. Like you got New York and the like him fighting or talking to people in the snow, the landscaping and the architecture and just like the it felt very New York. This is the most New York we've had in a Tom Holland Spider-Man film. And it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I just loved it. I loved him hanging on all of the construction sites all the time, constantly being on top of roofs and jumping off and swinging, like falling and swinging down into New York, or just laying on a bunch of like concrete beams and stuff while he's just in his downtime, just hanging out on construction sites. I loved it, man. It felt very New York. So yeah, that was the last bit I wanted to add to this non-spoiler section. There was one post-credit scene. I should mention that. There was no mid-credit scenes, but there was one post-credit scene. And yeah, I'll get into that in the spoiler territory as well. But between the credits, waiting on the post-credit scene, I did write some notes in my phone so I could remind myself, you know, everything that happened in this movie. But yeah, I'm going to head home and then I will record the spoiler section of this review there once I've, you know, cleared my head, articulated my thoughts, and yeah, then I'll come back for the spoiler territory because there's a lot in this film. But that is all for the non-spoiler. Hope you guys go enjoy this movie in the biggest screen possible. I know you can't watch it in the IMAX here in the United States, but if you get the chance to go, if you've never been to Screen X, this film was supposed to be, I think it is filmed for Screen X. I still haven't been to Screen X for this film. Been twice to the Screen X in Joplin. And I plan on going on my day off this next week to go experiment Spider-Man in Screen X. So I will have a review for that next week of my experience watching it in Screen X. But yeah, go check that out if you've never been to a Screen X. This is probably a great first movie to experience it in. So yeah, go do that. Go watch Spider-Man. Then come back and I will be getting into my spoiler territory now.
Hello again, everyone. I've written down
a lot of things, a lot of notes. So if you catch me looking over here at my computer, because I'm reading my notes. I don't know how long this review will be, but we're getting into the spoiler territory now. So this is your last warning where you're getting into spoilers for Spider-Man Brand New Day. All right. So I think one of the biggest takeaways for me, at least, in this movie was that this Brand New Day is finally the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie that I have been waiting for, that I have been craving for, because it is so much like the comics, as well as taking inspiration from all the other Spider-Man movies. And it just feels like Spider-Man. It feels like Peter Parker. Like the main focus of this movie is Peter Parker as Spider-Man. As you can tell, actually, you can't see it. It's out of view. But I did get the Spider-Man popcorn bucket. I showed that off at the beginning of this review, of course. But yeah, I did have the Spider-Man popcorn bucket. So now he's sitting up here with my Funko Pops and Herbie over here. So, and of course, all the Marvel heads are still down there with Ant-Man and Zombie Headpool, and a little bit to the side is Wolverine popcorn bucket. But yeah, I did add that back there. It is great. It is great. But it's not because of the action, and it's not because of all the comic references, even though there are a lot of comic book references. I have that upside down, but there are a lot of comic book references. And it's not all the cameos or the side characters we got. No. It is because, yeah, it finally feels like this is Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, the main focus is Peter Parker throughout this whole film. And the cameos, the supporting characters, the comic references, even the villain who is Jean Grey. I will confirm that now. Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, and she is the main antagonist. Not really who the villain should be. The real villain I will get to later, because she's not actually the real villain. The real villain I'll get to later, but she is Jean Grey, and all of those characters are supporting the main point of the movie, which is Peter Parker's life. Like, everything in this movie is evolved around Peter Parker. Yeah, it is just such a wonderful movie. And Tom Holland, in my opinion, gives the best performance he's ever given in this movie, in and out of the suit. Like, whether he's got the mask, he's got the full suit on, or sometimes he's got the the bodysuit on, but not the mask. Other times he's got the mask on, nothing else on. Like it. Other times he's just, random, regular day Peter Parker. Like, no matter what it was, Tom Holland's best performance is this movie, because he feels like he is Peter Parker. He is. He's Peter Parker. He is now grown into the role. He is now Spider-Man. Like, he's always been able to do the flips and tricks and all those, fancy moves. But in this film, yeah, he becomes Spider-Man from comic book pages to live action. He is Spider-Man. Like, he's still funny. He's still very charming. He's
like cracking jokes in the middle of the fights still, just like they do in the games. But there's more of a like he's matured. Like there's a more of a maturity to him now. You can feel everything that's happened to him has brought him to this point. You can feel the weight of, you know, Infinity War, Endgame, No Way Home, all of it. You can feel it weighing on his shoulders throughout this entire film. And what I loved is that yeah, every single relationship, I've kind of mentioned it a little bit already, but every single relationship in this film mattered. Whether it was Peter talking to Frank Castle or Jean Grey or Detective DeWolf or Bruce Banner or Yelena or Ned or MJ. Like all of those relationships, those friendships mattered because it made Peter a better person. Like the main focus is Peter. Like the conversations didn't feel like just filler. They they taught us more. They showed us more about who Peter actually is. And one of my favorite dynamics in this film is Peter with Frank Castle. I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, they're constantly just butting heads because you know Frank Castle thinks Peter's a little soft, while Peter refuses to actually give up on people. Um, like Frank is willing to do whatever it is to stop someone, while Peter is willing to do whatever it is to save someone. Even after getting into a little bit of spoilers, even after Frank shoots the rifle, which he has aimed for Jean Grey at the end, and of course Peter gets his Peter tingles, his spider senses, and knows that Frank is shot from miles away. He sees the bullet coming and he steps in front. I'm gonna tear up just thinking about it, but he steps in front of Jean Grey. Like they've already been having a heart to heart moment at this point of him letting her see his memories of him and Aunt May. But then he actually steps in front of a bullet and like actually saves her. And then yeah, by the time Frank actually gets there, like he's bleeding out all over the floor. Jean Grey is literally keeping him keeping him alive. Like she is controlling his breath, keeping him alive long enough for Frank to get him to the hospital. And even after that, like he's still just willing to do anything to save people. Even Frank, like Frank realizes after that moment that you know all of his actions do end up having consequences. He shot the bullet even though he was aimed for Jean Grey. He ended up hitting Peter, but then he took responsibility and immediately rushed him to the hospital and stayed by his side and made sure it was only him who saw his face. It was just such a touching moment, touching friendship. Like a friendship, you know, yeah, they were button heads at the beginning and stuff. It was funny. They butted heads quite a few times at the beginning, but yeah, then their friendship grew even more and matured even more throughout the film, and you could tell that Frank was actually very affected by accidentally almost killing Spider-Man. Like at that moment, I really thought we had lost Spider-Man. Like I broke down when when I knew the bullet was gonna hit him. Like I literally I'm crying right now just thinking about it. Like I thought we lost Spider-Man because of Frank Castle, but we did it. Luckily, we did it. Luckily, Frank Castle was able to get him there in time, and with Jean Grey's help, yeah, she literally kept him alive that whole time until he got to the hospital and was able to get the machines or whatever on him. But yeah, that was like Frank and Peter were one of my favorite dynamics or favorite duos in this movie. Peter and Frank. I loved it all. I loved it all. But back to Jean Grey, you know, I mentioned her quite a bit in that scene. I did love how they handled her introduction to the MCU, bringing her into this world with Spider-Man, where we had already had Peter Peter feeling alone. Yes, he had Ned and MJ, but neither one of them remembered who he was. So he had gone what 4 years at this point. As they were going through MIT, he was watching them, watching their Instagram stories or whatever, watching Ned's stories. So he was still, keeping an eye on them and protecting them, but but he wasn't actually talking to anyone. The closest he'd gotten to anyone was Frank, and then later on, Yelena, Yelena Belova. But at the beginning, yeah, that's the only connection he really had was Frank and Yelena. But neither one of them really, like, neither one of them knew it was Peter Parker. They knew Spider Man. They talked to Spider Man. Same with the detective. Actually, Detective DeWolf. He had a connection with her as well, but it was through Spider Man. Like no one actually knew who Peter Parker was, so he was still feeling lonely. Frank was kind of down and feeling lonely as well because he's always just been kind of a loner. And then the Hulk we had in this film, he was, you know, same boat. So Jean Grey fit very well with this combination of heroes in this film, and to bring slowly start building the X-Men for the MCU through other people's movies. Yeah, that is everything I've been begging for. Like I hope they eventually have a whole standalone Logan series on Disney Plus. Not even bring him into the X-Men until years later, just have him off by himself on his own Disney Plus series and then bring him into the X-Men. I hope. Yeah, eventually. I'm they just I don't know if it's real or not, but I just heard a at least a rumor of who's going to be playing Emma Frost for the MCU, and I hope that's true. Um, because I've heard rumors that it's going to be Samara Weaving, who is in the Ready or Not series, also in Scream. I think she was in Scream. Yeah, I hope they they've already started, with Jean Grey in this movie, so I hope they continue down that route with and just slowly building up the X-Men throughout the MCU, because the ending of this movie of her sitting on the bus like felt like she was going to be going to Charles Xavier, and Charles was going to find her on the bus. Like it felt like that's what they were setting it up for, was her to get on the bus to leave New York, to then go off, and then the next time we see her will be Charles meeting her on the bus, whatever. But yeah, like I'm just glad that the X-Men are here. It is beautiful, man. I'm glad that the X-Men are here. And yeah, I've already talked about Peter's relationships with Frank and his connection with Jean Grey, his connection with Detective DeWolf, and that connection actually was lacking a lot at the beginning as well. But then by the end of the movie, like he actually is growing a lot and like realizing, hey, he does need to make informed connections with people. He can't be doing all this alone, and he's starting to learn more things about Detective DeWolf, even like just in her personal life, like her kids' names. Like by the end of the movie, he learns her two kids' names, and yeah, like that friendship is forming more. Um, the most emotional stuff was probably when when it was Peter Parker and MJ together, because even though they were not together in this film, this movie finally made me actually care about Peter Parker and MJ's relationship. Like, don't get me wrong, I've always liked them in, well, I've always liked their connection in Homecoming, which, like, they weren't dating. He had a crush on Liz, but then by the time Far From Home came, like, yeah, he was crushing on MJ, and then their connection grew even more in No Way Home, or throughout Infinity War and Endgame, and yeah, I've always enjoyed their connection, but it's kind of been pushed to the side for the most part. But in this film, like it just, every scene between them just had so much emotion behind it, even though MJ had no idea who Peter was at first. Even after she finds the letter and he tells her the truth, like she still tells him, like, yeah, I don't remember any of that. I have no clue who you are. I don't love you. Like, I can tell why the old MJ did, but I don't know who you are. I don't love you. And that was very harsh, very hard to hear. But yeah, it was, they at least had that moment. They at least talked it out. And he actually did. She found it. And like, he wasn't going to tell her. You could tell that he was just never going to tell her or Ned about him, which is sad to think about. But he wanted them to live their own lives without him. And yeah, it was just so sad, man. So sad. Especially the moment when you think it's MJ, but then it's found out to be Jean Grey. That was before the scene where she finds the letter, but yeah, both of those moments were just very emotional. And yeah, this film, yeah, made me actually fall in love with the two of them, what, even though they still are not together. Like, they, I just fell in love with their connection in this film. It's probably the greatest thing about this film is all the connections that Peter has with everyone. The love he has for just New York and all the civilians of New York. Like, speaking of New York, actually, this movie finally felt like New York. Like, the rooftops, the construction beams he'd always be sitting around on or laying around on. Like I mentioned earlier, the swinging through the buildings, even I have a photo of it, but the Empire State Building that they lit up red and blue, just like the comics, which I have a photo of the comics, them doing it in the comics as well. Yeah, side to side. Yeah, that is just awesome. Like the Empire State Building lit up red and blue, and then police everywhere, a bunch of New York police just everywhere, traffic everywhere, just absolute chaos ensued. Like it felt like New York, like it felt like busy New York, and that is what we've been missing from the MCU. That is the main thing we've been missing from you, from the MCU, was New York. Just just the authentic New York. Like we got a little bit of a sense of it for the newer seasons of Daredevil when they brought over Daredevil from the Netflix and brought us Daredevil Born Again. We got a little bit of a sense of New York in that because yeah, they've always done great adding New York as its own character in the Daredevil series with whether it was on Netflix or the Disney Plus series, they always made New York feel like a character, and they did the same thing in this. This is the first time I've felt it in any of the MCU movies. Like New York was its own character in Brand New Day. It was amazing. It finally felt like Spider-Man lived in New York instead of just existing somewhere in the MCU or following or traveling with Tony Stark, whether it was to battle Captain America at the airport, or then of course Far From Home, they went to Europe on a school trip. Then of course Infinity War and Endgame, they went to space. We got a little bit of New York in No Way Home, but it was mainly just yeah, Peter, or not Peter Parker's apartment, but Happy's apartment. Mainly just Happy's apartment and the Sanctum Sanctorum, and then Lady Liberty. That were like the three locations that they were in for No Way Home. This though, like they were traveling to all parts of different districts of New York. It was yeah, it was amazing. I was just hoping that we'd run into Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen since we had Frank Castle in this movie. I was hoping that we got a small cameo of Daredevil, but that didn't happen. Yeah, another thing that they just absolutely nailed in this movie is how much it felt like a actual comic book. Like the rest of the MCU, not that I'm complaining or anything, but the rest of the MCU, every movie, the focus feels like it's the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like building up the universe. Maybe not the first few like Iron Man movies, but after that, like every movie feels like it's setting up for the next movie. Destin Daniel Cretton, on the other hand, his films feel like take place within the MCU, but that's not the main focal point. The focal point is the actual characters themselves, the stories themselves, just existing inside of the MCU. You know what I mean? Shang-Chi did it, Wonder Man did it, and now Brand New Day, he's done it again. And yeah, the MCU is never the focus in his movies. The focus are the characters. Like Brand New Day is about Peter Parker as Spider-Man. That is the focus. But for all these other movies, the focus is the MCU. And the focus is, trying to shove in those comic book references and everything. But for this movie, like they had all types of inspirations and references in this movie. Like between the references to all three Tobey Maguire films, all three Sam Raimi Spider-Man films. They had references to those, to Tobey Maguire's like suit that he then was informed of Toby's suit as well as Andrew's suit, and he took the inspiration, and when he was making his new suit, there were still, of course, inspirations from his other films. But the main source of inspiration are not the movies. And yeah, there are some moments that they pull straight from the comics. But the main source of inspiration right here. But mainly just this one. The first Spider-Man PS4 game. That is the main source of inspiration for this film. Between the action sequences, the story, even the story, like they take pieces from the story, all the jokes and like cracks that Spider-Man makes feels like the games, the the swinging, the webbing, like all of that feels, especially the different like types of webs that they use. Like he actually brings in like grenade, like web bombs and everything. Which yeah, all of that is in this game. Like the main source of inspiration for a Brand New Day is this, and it is everything I have been hoping for, everything I've been waiting for a Spider-Man movie to be as excellent of storytelling as the game. Yeah, like they did it, man. They did it. They gave us a brand new day for Spider-Man. They gave us basically a brand new Tom Holland Spider-Man. Yeah, he still has flashbacks and memories of his old life, but this is a college aged, beaten down, like all alone in the world, like broke. He just spends all his time helping others. Like that is the Spider-Man that everyone has been craving, and we finally got it. We finally got it. None of it felt forced. Just felt like a celebration of Spider-Man's history. Now, I did mention earlier that the real villain of this movie isn't actually Jean Grey. I'm gonna reveal it to you now. And I knew straight away, actually. From the moment he stepped on screen, whether whether it was my distrust in and other like in his other characters that he's played in other shows that I've seen him in, maybe you can guess from just that. But yeah, the main villain is the freaking DODC guy, the actor from Severance who plays Mr. Milchick. He's the real bad guy in this. And yeah, maybe watching Severance didn't help because I didn't already trust his character from that. Yeah, once again, we've got another another government agency just trying to step in, control everything, trying to weaponize everything, and trying to lock up anyone who was different behind bars. Like I just, I knew, I hated that guy for a reason from the moment he stepped on screen and started trying to use that charming ass voice he has and trying to charm Spider-Man. I'm like, nope, he's hiding something. Like this guy is definitely the real bad guy. And maybe it's just my distrust in government agencies. Who knows? But yeah, I could tell from the very beginning that the DODC was was the real bad guy. Was the real villains of this movie. Especially after he said he had the hand working for him. I was like, okay, you can't rehabilitate the hand. Nah, not gonna work. This is not gonna work. The Hulk showing back up was awesome. Yelena's office scene, which yeah, didn't even touch upon that, but that was hilarious. The office scene, and it wasn't just Spider Man. Like several people met her there. Like that is her real office, which I think is hilarious. I hope we get more of that in the new Avengers or the Thunderbolt sequel, whatever it may be. But yeah, then the May flashback sequences, uh, Peter using fake names like Ned and May to yeah, just give random people as he's just Spider-Man or not Spider-Man, but as he's just regular Peter Parker, like he still gives people fake names because he doesn't want. He's just trying to be more careful with his identity, I guess. Like he doesn't want anything to come back that he's Spider-Man, even though some people find out by the end of this movie, like Frank Castle with his mask off in the hospital. But it's just Frank Castle. Who's Frank going to tell? You know, Daredevil, possibly. But I hope Daredevil is in the next Spider-Man movie anyway. Yeah, I loved how Destin Daniel Cretton directed this movie, and yeah, he deserves so much credit for this film, and so so much better than the John Watts trilogy. The cinematographer deserves all the awards as well, man. Like the way they shot this movie, the different camera angles of Spider-Man swinging through New York and him like crawling on the buildings or just hanging from the beams in the sky. Like the cinematographer and the yeah, whoever is in charge of the camera, like they deserve all the props, man. I loved every bit of the camera work in this film. It was phenomenal. I hope they I hope they earn a lot of rewards for this movie. Like it made me feel like I was Spider-Man myself. Some of the scenes that they shot in this movie. And then yeah, before we end this review, which yeah, damn. I'm going into 40 minutes just for the spoiler territory, plus the 15 20 minutes in the non-spoiler review. Man, maybe I better split these reviews up. We'll see. It might just be one long hour long review for this movie. But yeah, before I end this review, I do have to talk about the post credit because I'm sure you've heard about it by now. But there are no mid credit scenes, and the one post credit scene we get, which is at the very end of all the credits, is just a graphic of the Spider Tracker app that Ned builds, and like first starts off with you know, tracking Spider-Man and saying
like no Spider-Man fan, no Spider-Man fan, no Spider-Man fan. Like it's beeping and like flashing in and out, and then like or like it's saying no signal found or whatever, and then like it slowly pans over. Like, well, first I guess it like because it's starting out in like New York, so like it zooms out from New York and zooms out to see all of Earth, and then it pans over, and it keeps panning over slowly, and it keeps panning over slowly, and then another Spider-Man symbol appears, and it says "Signal found," and it's just out in the middle of space. So I don't know if that's like a tease that he's gonna be in Doomsday or Secret Wars, or it could just be a tease for Beyond the Spider Verse and the multiverse. Like who knows what that's supposed to be teasing? But Spider Man's going to be in space, so again, like he was already in space fighting Thanos, so he's going to be in space again, whatever that means. But that's post credit scene. So whether you want to stay for that or not, yeah, I just spoiled the thing for you. Anyway, overall, I walked out of this movie very emotional. I laughed a lot. I cried. I smiled through so much of it. But the moment that broke me the most was uh, was the moment after Peter Parker wakes up in the hospital and he realizes, yeah, Frank's been sitting there with him the entire time, waiting for him to wake up. Frank's also, you know, passed out at this point, so he wakes Frank up, and they're like talking, discussing a lot of things, and then like you hear a crowd outside the hospital, and Frank's like, oh yeah, you might want to check on that, like you might want to look out the window because they've all been standing here ever since I brought you in here, and then Frank gives. This is the funniest moment that Frank has in this film because he gives Peter Parker a chance to get out of the hospital, and Frank Castle himself, puts the Spider-Man mask and the Spider-Man gloves on. And he's standing there at the window waving to everyone while Peter Parker sneaks out of the hospital, which brings me to one of my favorite moments from this movie. Peter Parker standing there in the crowd, the audience that all the New York civilians that have been forming here, waiting on him, waiting to hear good news that Spider-Man is alive. He sees just how important he is to New York. He sees how beloved he is by all the New Yorkers. Just watching everyone cheer for him, and him just in the middle of the of the crowd, seeing all this. That brought tears to my eyes, man. Like I sat there in my chair as the credits rolling, taking notes, just tears in my eyes because just reflecting on that scene, like that scene right there reminded me so much of a another particular Spider-Man scene, which is one of my favorite moments in this movie, which is Spider-Man 2 when the train scene, you know what I'm talking about, the train scene after he's done fighting Doc Ock and he's about to fall off the train and someone from behind catches him, and they start bringing them into the train. All the people in the train start, yeah, like start grabbing them and bringing them in back into the train, and yeah, it's just one of my favorite moments from Spider-Man 2. And that that news scene of him standing there in the crowd that has formed for him, that brought me back to this moment from Spider-Man 2. Like it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man is what made me a Marvel fan. Was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. That was my beginning of a Marvel fanatic. So to have all of these inspirate, yeah, all these forms of other Spider-Man media inspiring this film was just everything. Just everything to me. But yeah, it reminded me why I love Spider-Man so much. Spider-Man just, he isn't loved because he's the strongest superhero or the smartest superhero, even though he is one of the smartest and the strongest superheroes. It's not because of that, it's because he's like us. He's just human, a mutated human, but yeah, he's just human. He's sees the humanity in everyone. He's sees the good in everyone. He never he will never stop trying to help someone or help just people in general. I think Brand New Day understood that better than any other Tom Holland film. That is why I say, Destin Daniel Cretton, please, please direct every Marvel film from here on out, man. Like, just take the leads. Take the lead. I want you to direct every single Marvel movie from here on out, man. You and the Russo brothers, because the Russo brothers do very well with Captain America and the Avengers movies. I do like them. So, and James Gunn, he can come back for Guardians. He can come back for Guardians. But everyone else, no, they just need to get rid of them all. And those three, the Russos, or four, I guess, because Joe and Anthony are a team. But yeah, Joe and Anthony Russo, and then Destin Daniel Cretton, and then James Gunn. That's all you need from Marvel. I absolutely love this movie. Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts down below. What was your favorite moment from Brand New Day? Was it getting the Spider-Man head? Was it getting any of the other popcorn buckets from any other theater? I actually send me all your photos. If I don't know if you can do that on YouTube, but if you can send photos and comments down below, I would like to see everyone's popcorn buckets that they've gotten. If you ended up buying any, yeah, I'd like to see those in the comments. But tell me what your favorite moment from Brand New Day was. Was it Punisher and Spider-Man teaming up with the Hulk? Uh, maybe it was Spider-Man going full Spider with the black eyes and everything. Maybe it was him going full Spider on the hand there at the end. Or maybe it was just that moment I mentioned earlier where Jean Grey was looking through Peter's mind and made their connection stronger because she got to see just how much him and Aunt May cared for each other, and he told Jean Grey that she's not alone, that he'll always be there for her. Maybe it was that moment. Um, yeah, them actually forming a connection, you know, or maybe it was one of the the inspirations from the game or one of the movies, or maybe it was the suit, whatever it may be. Let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, until next time, stay safe, true believers. And I'll see y'all next week at the movies.